afraid to fail? Are your team? Look, in this episode, I'm going to try and flip the script on failure. If you, like me, have ever, frankly, been a bit terrified of making a mistake or looking like a fool or actually wasting your time on things that actually didn't work, well, this video is for you. And look, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's your team that are a little bit too perfectionistic. And perhaps you know that there's a little bit more left in their tank if they were just a little bit less afraid of things not working out, of failing. Well, in this video, we're going to explore how there's probably more to learn from the setbacks than from success. We're going to learn from the likes of Amazon, Netflix, and my favourite founder. I'm Chloe Temple, the founder of Popp and The Ultimate Offsite, and for the past 3 years, I've failed, way more times than I'm willing to admit. And I'll be walking you through, in this episode, some examples of some super successful individuals and companies that have totally changed my perspective on the whole failure thing. Plus, I'll be sharing how you can get your hands on this cheeky strategic planning resource that helps my clients learn to succeed. Sound good? I'm going to start by sharing where my love of failure, or at least my appreciation for failure, started. Let's turn back time. I was working as a supermarket buyer at Coles, and I attended this talk by a senior Amazon employee who really introduced this concept that completely stopped me in my tracks. The idea was this: learning. Look, you may be well ahead of me and get from the name what the concept of learning is, but it's that failure is only failure if you fail to learn from it. Now, at that point in my career, I was workaholic, high achiever, perfectionist. I was hella terrified of making mistakes. I mean, understandably, I was at the time dealing with a huge amounts of money, negotiating deals worth millions of pounds every single week, or dollars back then. And so I wouldn't want to F up, would I? But sat there listening to her speak, I suddenly could see all of the ways that my fear of failure was holding me back. Not only professionally, but also in my personal life too. So I want to bring this to life. Let's look at how some of the top companies embrace failure. At Amazon, employees are actively encouraged to learn. They're constantly running experiment after experiment, embodying Jeff Bezos's core principle. This is failing fast and learning. They basically do these small-scale tests, trials all over the place. Bezos's philosophy wasn't to try enormous, large-scale experiments every day that were make or break, but actually to start small and scale up. What I learned was that within Amazon, one of the greatest acknowledgements that an employee can get beyond awards, pats on the back, pay rises, etc., was where someone's small trial was actually rolled out to the other areas of the business. I don't know if that's happened to you, but it's happened to me and it feels bloomin' great. Another example is Netflix. In the book No Rules Rules, the co-founder of Netflix, Reed Hastings, and Erin Meyer describe the culture of feedback and iterative improvement that drives Netflix success. But this blew my mind. Did you know that movie thumbnails, those images that you see before you're going to settle back in for the night? Well, you know what? It's probably different from the one I'm going to see. For the exact same movie. For me, rather than seeing a picture of the lead actor, I might actually see a picture of a sporting actor who I've perhaps watched something recently of. For my partner, he might be showing a picture of things being blown up. For me, I might get romantic scenes. That's so gender biased. Essentially though, it's based on your past history. They tailor the individual picture that you see to the person who's logged in. What? Another example, Stephen Bartlett, who's an entrepreneur, youngest ever dragon on Dragon's Den, Diary of a CEO guy. He embraces failure so much so that he's actually gone and created a whole specific role for it within his team. So Grace is the head of failure and experimentation. Her role literally includes tracking the failures of the business, celebrating these failures, and helping the team learn from them. Before every video goes live, his team will A/B test. They'll run hundreds of different thumbnails. They'll test different descriptions, and they'll basically land on the one that gets the most clicks. That's hundreds and hundreds of failures every single day. But his team knows that's never wasted. It's actually integral for them to get to the result being the most number of people possible to invest their most precious resource, which is their time to actually listen to the videos. And it doesn't stop with Grace. See, I saw this post last week from one of Stephen's investment managers explaining that they actually choose the founders that they invest in, not based on their success rate, but how they failed, how many times, and how they've responded to it, what they learned from it. See, failure is not the opposite of success. It's actually a pathway to it. Take Spanx founder Sara Blakely. This was the story that truly shifted my perspective on failure. When starting her business, she said that for 2 years, all she heard was no. But unlike most of us, Sara had been trained from an early age. As a child, at dinner each night, Sara's father would ask the kids, "What did you guys fail at today?" If they had nothing to share, he'd be disappointed. If they had something, he'd celebrate, not for them succeeding, but for them being willing to fail. What this taught her was that the real failure isn't actually not in achieving the outcome, but it's in the lack of willingness to try. Do you want to know my biggest career regret? It was in failing far, far, far too little. Not embracing more opportunities to fall flat on my face, to hear no, to be disappointed. I reckon, just in the last couple of months, I failed more times than I had in the first 30 years of my life. The reason why was not because I was shitter, but because I've actually tried more. Yes, failure still hurts, rejection still absolutely sucks, and it's hard not to feel like you're wasting your time sometimes. The first 2 years of my business on paper were a complete waste of time. But with hindsight, I know that it's absolutely never wasted. Every setback, every flop, every piece of content or idea that never saw the light of day has shaped me into where I am now, continually learning. I'm tougher skinned for sure, but most importantly, I've got this learner's mindset, this deep willingness to fail. So it takes a ton of courage to choose to be in the arena, but that's really from where we learn. So at Popp, failure is literally weaved throughout our ethos, throughout our values. We're learners in action. We embrace tough love and we act like owners. We embrace failure as a learning tool. And as a recovering perfectionist, I can't tell you how difficult that's been. But as Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. Well, look at Sara. Look at Amazon, Netflix, Stephen Bartlett. Steve Jobs once said, if you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far. He said that the greatest artists like Dylan, Picasso, and Newton risked failure. And if we want to be great, we've got to risk it too. Steve Jobs didn't hesitate to take risks. He also didn't let what some might fear as the ultimate failure. I mean, having his company hoisted from him, only to come back and make it infinitely better than before. So I'm going to invite you to reflect on your own relationship with failure. How are you and your team embracing failure as a chance to learn? What mini experiments are you trying, both personally, professionally? Are all of your current strategies actually working, or are you ploughing on with outdated ones and hoping that somehow magically they're going to start producing yields? There's often more that we can learn from failure than we can through from success, but it starts with awareness. So if you're keen on help checking in, you're going to find a link to get your hands on our quarterly strategic planning resource, and also an invite to our next quarterly review and reset session. It's free. Check out the link in the description to get started. And with all that done, I hope you found this video really helpful. possibly even a little kick up the butt. Right now, by pretty much all of the metrics, this channel is not doing so good. If it's been useful at all, please like, subscribe. It helps us know we're moving in the right direction. And let us know in the comments, what else do you want to see? Where can we be better? It helps more than you can possibly know. Until next time.